Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Montana Educational Talent Search's summer program for students to learn more about different admissions offices as well as different institutions across the U.S. this summer. And we are really excited today to kick off with the University of Wyoming, and I will let our guest introduce herself here in just a minute. But just as a reminder, these are great opportunities every Wednesday for students to tune in on Facebook or YouTube Live to hear different offerings about schools that our students have expressed interest in, as well as just to learn some different support services and just different programs and all these different options that higher ed institutions have across the country. So we cannot thank University of Wyoming enough for their time this afternoon. Without further ado, Haley, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do at the University of Wyoming?
Yes, thank you so much. So my name and I am Haley Duggan. So I'm here as an admissions representative and I'm a recruiter with UW, but I'm also a proud graduate at this institution, first generation college student. So really kind of equate like a lot of my personal success and just where I'm at in life to attending UW, getting that college education and kind of, setting that pathway for my family in the future, see if anyone follows. So just really proud to be from Wyoming and to be a graduate and really just always excited to talk about it. So thank you so much for inviting me to be a part today and to present on behalf of UW.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our pleasure. One thing that we are hoping to do that I'll admit I haven't even told Haley this, so this was almost a surprise to her as well, but we were hoping to just show a brief clip off of the university's YouTube page. This is The World Needs More Cowboys. And for our audience, it's just about a minute long, so it's nothing too extensive. And I'm going to go ahead and quickly share my screen here, and we'll get that pulled up. Sorry, just a minute. And I promise it's coming. Everybody's waiting. Okay. And go ahead and listen.
When do we stop thinking of new questions and daring to chase down their answers? Should we blindly follow predetermined paths when they never take us anywhere new? Should we really be on autopilot? There's still so much to explore off the beaten trail. The world needs more wonder, more outside thinkers hungry for a challenge. The world needs more cowboys, and not just the kind that sweep you off your feet and ride you off into the sunset. Ours are diverse cowboys who come in every sex, shape, color, and creed. They come from Wyoming, Montana, Delaware, and Nigeria. Because it's not what you are that makes you a cowboy or cowgirl, but who you are. It's a shared spirit. It's the spirit of the underdog, the trailblazer, the kind of spirit that longs for something to prove, the kind that emboldens those who possess it to stand on the perimeter and howl in the unknown with unbendable optimism. The world needs more people to pick up the torch of progress and fearlessly venture on.
Okay, so yes, as the slogan states, world needs more cowboys. So, and we will put a link up on this video directly to that YouTube. So if anybody wants to watch again, it's pretty fun to see. So we will just go ahead and get started. Our first question for Haley is what makes UW unique? What would draw a student, especially a Montana student, maybe to Wyoming?
Yes, so we certainly share a lot of similar attributes, right? The outdoors, the love for that, and being next to Colorado, we always get to make the joke, and statewide, if we have all the same attributes, all the beauty, but certainly less people, and that is just completely true for the time being. We've seen more individuals move out this way, but we're the only four-year institution in the least populated state in the entire United States. So it provides a lot of opportunity. You also get to be a part of a really strong alumni network if you do attend the University of Wyoming, because I don't know what it is about being from Wyoming and when you attend this institution, but if you're wearing a steamboat loud and proud, and I'm sure those from Montana have probably seen this, if another Wyomingite sees another Wyomingite in a crowd, you're going to hear like a variation of Go Pokes, Powder River, Letterbuck, a whole variation of it. So we like to equate this like you're part of one of the biggest fraternities or sororities, depending on how you feel, in the entire world if you get to join the University of Wyoming and just be a part of the Cowboy family for a period of time. And all of those opportunities that exist at any four-year institution, like I said, the research, getting the chance to get involved into those undergraduate programs and get your hands on the materials. I mean, you get to compete against far less entities with so much more funding and just a strong alumni backing behind it. So I'm a proud graduate. I can attest. I'm an English major, and we had a great department. I really saw a lot of prolific authors, and that come through our likes just because they want to get off the beaten path, and it's a unique state with a pretty unique institution.
That's awesome. Thanks. Kind of a follow-up to that, and you touched on it as an English major, but what are some program offerings or maybe some specific or unique program offerings that UW may have? And then kind of a second part of that is a lot of Met students have indicated an interest in doing things around public health or things in the health sector. Would you mind sharing some of those options or offerings at UW?
Yes, absolutely. So our college is built on two main entities, right? The College of Agriculture and the College of Engineering. And certainly the College of Engineering has taken strides and continued forward. We have a civil engineering program, which is very unique, and an architectural engineering program, which is extremely unique to this institution in this part of the United States, in the West. So we see a lot of students come through that want to be a part of the engineering program for those portions, but then as well, of course, petroleum, anything about the state of Wyoming and energy. We have a really incredible petroleum engineering program, and it's just continuously growing. Our STEM and research, especially for women in sciences, we're really trying to implore a lot of opportunities for them to join, but business marketing is very large at the university. Students that want to get involved in business all the way through into their master's level, finance, these are accredited. We're an accredited institution in a couple of different sectors involving business. And so that just provides our students that early on accreditation. They can get that taken care of while they're in their undergraduate, and then they can pursue a master's program after the fact. Those small classroom settings will really allow everyone to get that chance to know your professor, whether you're in marketing, in engineering, in those popular programs. If you're on the arts, psychology is an incredibly popular program, and then criminal justice as well. Regardless, wherever you're at, you're going to get to know your professors deeply and have that connection, which is really beneficial. And then in regards to the health sector, we have specifically on campus a really, really awesome, our Fay Whitney School of Nursing is both competitive program. So if you are interested in joining nursing, encourage you and employ you to get some of that information early. We need an earlier admissions process than a standard admissions process for that, because it is competitive. And a beautiful and unique thing about our School of Nursing on campus is that the School of Nursing itself upstairs has all of the facilities to provide the opportunity to serve as a working hospital if at any point Ivinson Memorial, which is our hospital here in Laramie, was to go down. So these students are getting as much hands-on, as much intensive experience that they can as early as they can. And then as well, the graduation opportunities or our networking for employment is at 92%. So we really, really have a high percentage of getting them into job placement after the fact.
That's awesome. And it perfectly leads to the next question we have. But before we do that, you mentioned small class sizes. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, like what the population size is for the institution and what students could maybe expect from a classroom experience there?
Absolutely. So we'll have about 12,249 students on our campus, and that's enrolled with our graduate students in the body as well. But Laramie, Wyoming is very small. It's an intimate enough experience that if you've ever visited Laramie, you'd notice that the town itself is not much bigger than the college. It's really cool for so many reasons. Got a lot of community involvement, but bleeding into the classroom. I was an English major, but I can attest again, friends of mine, accounting, across the board in your early classes in your in your freshman semester, you'll have an At most, one of our largest classrooms holds 70 students, and this would be like your English 1010, your math 1010. I don't believe that you would ever see that many students in the classroom. In those opportunities, it's going to be closer to like 30 to 40 students. And then it reduces and you become more intimate as you progress further into your curriculum. So when you get into your sophomore year, especially into your senior semester, you'll have opportunities where sometimes you may have classes where it's 15 students, 20. Again, creative writing, English, I had classes with 7 students. So in the beginning, you'll matriculate from some of those larger pools, those general classes that every student has to take. And then when you get into your more focused areas of your study, it's going to be a very, very close network. You'll really get to know the students that are in your fellow classes. So I will admit, if you're hesitant about that kind of intimate classroom experience, you are going to experience that at the university, but I can promise you it'll benefit you for so many different reasons, especially in this day and age where we're just really trying to make that human connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for jumping in and kind of catching that. Going back to the original perfect lead that you've given with those 92% job placement for college and nursing students, one thing that our students are obviously really interested in is what is that value, that overall, what they can, assume to have with attainment of a degree. And so this question of job placement within the first year after earning that degree, can you share a little bit more, maybe some different areas of what that percentage might look like, or maybe what some of those opportunities may have been for students that have graduated from UW?
Absolutely. So internships are going to be available to you in your undergrad. It's a great way to matriculate into a job market after the fact, a full-time salary career, depending on wherever you're branching into the world. We really try to hammer that into our students as early on as their freshman semester, really, just to let them know, like, hey, if you start asking your departments, how do I get involved? How do I start with my maybe unpaid internships, which could lead into paid internships, would then lead into maybe master's programs, the graduate programs. So on campus specific, what we have is a team called ACES, which is our Advising Career and Exploratory Studies Center. And then as well, they're connected with other more specifically connected success teams, like in the School of Business, we have now the Peter Paul M. Green Student Success Center. All of these entities will work together to host a couple different job fairs on campus each year. So you can then go look at the generalized population entities that'll be hiring around the state of Wyoming and surrounding states. Those will be your alumni networks that are coming back and trying to pull specifically for their companies. And then for your specific colleges, they too will host job fairs. I mean, that's really that's the whole gambit, right? You want to be getting your career, you want to be developing yourself as in a stable and a comfortable adult, so that when you move into the next pathway, you have all of the tools. So we will put the tools in front of you. It's just a matter of you taking the initiative to pick them out, try them out, see what's going to fit best. So don't hesitate. There'll be job opportunities provided in the fall and the spring semester that look at potentially the J terms. So you might be able to pick something up from a company in a semester between your fall and your spring break. You might pick something up for that summer, but then moving forward as you get into the master's programs from there. Give a specific example. I have a friend who went into finance, and through his internship through a company called Altrio that was out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, they then funded him to finalize the rest of his master's program, and then hired him with the stipulation that he would sign a contract and work for his company for a brief period of time, which will be a standard with internships. So, great.
Yeah, ACES sounds like a really powerful support for students upon being there. And speaking of support, so that worked out well. A lot of our students within the METS program are first generation college students, so parents that do not have a bachelor's degree may have some college education under that. But so what are some different supports that might be offered specifically for first gen students on campus, maybe welcoming them to the campus, those kinds of things?
Yes, great question. And so I myself was a first generation college student, so I wrote a couple of specific entities that I had utilized while I was on this campus. And yeah, it can be overwhelming. You're navigating the waters as both a parent and a student. You don't really know what to expect, and you really just need some guidance. So when you're on this campus, I want you to know that if you start with one of our first-gen entities, they will branch immediately into other entities, and it will be a great network to assist you. I, again, transferred into this institution, and personally, I utilized our writing centers on campus. We have so many tutoring centers and writing centers that are available almost 24 hours for you to use completely free. And these are employed entities. These are not student workers. They are employed entities that, or if they are student workers, they're paid full-time, but they're trained. They're picked specifically from these classes because they've excelled, and they're put in these positions of leadership to assist you. And I can tell you, like, you will excel. You will bound past any hindrance that you may have. I myself, I was an English major, and even with my writing, I knew that it needed some polishing. So I'd approach the writing center and really got to know the individuals within there. They eased, any discomforts that I had, and just made me feel more confident to continue asking for help. As well, we also have a fantastic connection with the McNair Scholar Program. So the McNair Scholar is available for first generation and low income students who want to pursue potentially a doctorate or a master's program after graduation, and this can assist with those scholarship. This scholarship can assist and pay almost, I believe, full time. So for first generation students, we want them to look into the McNair's program. I believe it's first generation and potentially for minority students as well, just anybody that's going to be just that non-traditional track. I've written a couple else down because I just want to make certain we touch on these because I myself was first gen. So, and then just, of course, co-library, our library and sciences department just on campus, those individuals that work there, we have something really cool where we share with sister programs. If there's any ever materials you need and maybe potentially you haven't been able to afford them that semester, I want to implore you to approach the libraries and see if there's potential for you to do a long-term rental. Tons of books, and you can actually rent those through some of our sister colleges, so out of Colorado, some through Utah. These materials, I guarantee there are an abundance of printed materials available at your disposal. It's just a matter of approaching our library staff and asking them, hey, what do you have that I can cut my cost dramatically for this semester and just rent these materials?
Yeah, that's a great tip. I think people sometimes are so focused on coming up with ways to pay for tuition or housing that, books sometimes can feel super overwhelming as a later charge. So utilizing those services on campus, that's a great idea. I didn't put it in here, but I meant to ask too, I should have put a banner up, but UW has TRIO support, yes?
Yes.
And METS is part of the larger TRIO umbrella on the K-12 side. But can you speak just briefly about TRIO at UW?
Yes, so we have some specific TRIO representatives. They're just fantastic. And first generation, and then I believe any student that represents a low EFC, so your estimated family income or family contribution. So through FAFSA and through those paperwork, the TRIO program will work directly with you to assist with tuition waivers and so I believe some scholarship opportunities as well. They'll directly assist. A real combination of them, and I apologize, I often will direct students directly with them because there have so many opportunities. I generalize. Truthfully, our TRIO representatives are there in your corner to represent you specifically. So do not hesitate. If you'd like to be connected with some of our TRIO representatives, we have two individuals, shameless plugs, it's Vanessa and Melissa. I would love to assist and get you connected just to talk further about those opportunities too as well with UW. But yes, we are strong advocates for our TRIO programs and try to implement them as much as we possibly can because certainly, across the boards, college is an investment and we want every student who has the opportunities to attend if they can.
Thanks. Yeah, that's great. Just to hear that there's an additional TRIO program that can help make a handoff from high school to college. I think sometimes it's just feels so comfortable for students. So I'm glad to hear that UW has an office. Kind of going along that support line, many of our students identify as Native American. Can you share some cultural supports or cultural offerings that UW might have for students who would want that as part of their college experience?
Yes. So again, I've written down a couple notes here, so I apologize if you see me offhand, but this one's important as well. So I really want to make sure that I just note all of the opportunities that we have on this campus specific. So the one foremost that is most important, I think is the best to highlight, is that we have a a Native American Education and Cultural Research Center specifically on our campus. This is here to specifically help our Native American Indigenous populations, and they offer everything from stewarding specific needs, offering really just that support. They're there in their corner for any questions, any concerns. It's a entire set of entities that I just wanted to make sure that you feel comfortable, and this is getting you connected to your professors. This is assisting with like housing questions, again, any type of scholarship or job placement, things like that. They are there to just help matriculate that you into that college system, because certainly for being first generation, it was nervous. I was nervous in navigating those waters. I really could have used somebody like holding my hand to just get me started, right? And branching from that point. And that's what they're there for. So they're right off campus, located directly on our main drag. And there's always going to be entities within the facility there. So always make certain that you study, develop further community. Now we have what was called FIG floors as well. So it's freshman interest groups. When you move on to the University of Wyoming campus, we're asking you to be hosts there. So we also have a FIG floor that specifically assists our Native students. And further, we have a ton of organizations. So the Keepers of the Fire is fantastic. They're specific to keep that Native American culture alive and strong. And the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. This one as well is specific for the engineering and the science side for students, but really proud to host it. So if they want to get further involved, we're just happy to have them on campus and just continue that just further involvement. So yeah, those are a couple specific, but just across the board too, this is without a doubt the most diverse city in this state of Wyoming. And that's because the college is here. So we're always bringing new ideas, new opportunities, trying to expand conversations, expand diversity, all those opportunities.
That's awesome. It means a lot to be able to feel like you're supportive when you're far from home, regardless if it's just 5 minutes, 5 hours, or probably for some students further than that. So that's great. Our last main question centers around affordability. And really anything regarding that is great. The question on the screen is what financial aid or scholarship options are available for Montana students? And when should students start looking into this process of payments or planning to reach out to financial aid or whatever it may be?
Yes, great question. So financial aid, right? Want from the very beginning to try to make this as easy as a process as possible for our students. So the University of Wyoming does everything upon application. We'll look at essentially your merits. So ACT and SAT were test optional for 2022. Were test optional for 2021 as well, just as we saw that students weren't able to receive an SAT or an ACT in some areas. That being stated, there are some financial scholarships that we have that still require test scores to be submitted. So I always tell students, if you have one available, please submit it to us. But essentially, we have what are called commitment grids. We will look at your unweighted high school GPA. We will look at your transcript or at your ACT and SAT score. And from that information, we'll be able to award you a specific amount each year annually. So for our non-resident students, this is going to be the brown and gold commitment grid. So if you have any questions, you'd like more information on this, you can reach out. Our financial aid department, admissions department, be happy to help. Check out online the visuals. Those grids will show an annual amount you'll be able to receive each year depending on where you fall within your merits. And specifically too, we have some scholarships that are available and through the Native American Cultural Research Center, you can find more information through these. But the McNair Scholarship is one that's available. We've got the McCarthy Scholarship, Chief Washakie Endowment, and then the Arapaho Endowment Fund Scholarship for those students as well. So just a few items there. Know that though we have our specific university, and you'll see that brown and gold commitment, you can always utilize as well FAFSA. University scholarships are not where your income stops. You can always utilize private scholarships as well. And then yes, even as you continue, right now, this is your first year, you might think, oh, filing a FAFSA can be a little bit frustrating. I can tell you what, I continue to file mine all the way through my graduation, especially being first gen and being on my own. I received a lot of assistance back when I hit about 22. So there's definitely opportunities out there beyond just what's offered at the University of Wyoming, but for best opportunities, I'd check out the brown and gold commitment grid.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a great reminder to keep doing the FAFSA beyond just high school, right? Like that money doesn't, and your scholarships and everything don't necessarily have to stop after you're a high school senior. So that's a great reminder. I'm going to just flash UW's contact information up here. And that way, if anybody wants to reach out or wants to just learn more or wants to get information in the mail or whatever it may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. Haley, I cannot thank you enough for your time. This information has been super helpful. And yeah, in a world where I think everybody's just trying to find the best fit for themselves and find the best fit for their family, it's so nice to hear directly from an individual rather than trying to figure it out online through a website. So we're very gracious for your time this afternoon. And well, that is gonna, if there's any lasting comments you might have, and then we'll close out for today.
No, it's fantastic. I was actually going to stop my previous spill and say, and I'll put some information down so you can contact, because I know it's financial aid, right? Any questions, you can contact us. So you nailed it. Yeah, anything that you have across the board. We're a really intimate team at the University of Wyoming. So if that's one item too that I can tell you that just really sets us apart, is that we're all communicate. We've all worked together, and we are sharing similar information just across the board. So anything that arises, don't hesitate. We're happy to assist. And just thank you again for taking the time to listen a little bit about the University of Wyoming.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.